Can't afford groceries. I can't even afford gas to get to work.
My rent is going up $230 a month.
How are people affording life right now?
I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days.
This rental market kind of feels like the most discouraging thing I've ever experienced.
I'm in a laundromat in Jamaica and absolutely nobody prepared me for how absurd the prices are here.
If we buy groceries, then we either won't be able to pay our rent or our electric.
They want you to make 3.5 times the rent.
The exact moment I knew that the economy was in shatters.
I'm working like 3 jobs right now.
After it being outpriced at the rental market, I have moved into my car.
£40 in a day.
The millennials and Gen Zers who are complaining that they can't buy a house are not working for minimum wage.
Our mortgage payment is going up almost $200.
You cannot support a family on one full-time income.
How are we supposed to buy a home when minimum homes are $300,000?
This here represents a near $1,000 increase in my rent.
My husband and I have come to the realization we can't afford groceries.
Landlords and corporations are continuing to price gouge.
It's like, oh shit, it's bad out there.
I just don't want to do this anymore.
What's up, Islanders? Diving into something very serious today. It is something that we are all feeling. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. Talking about the crashing weight of a skyrocketing cost. The rent is outrageous. Food prices is just downright insulting. And it's starting to feel like a simple surviving is now actually a luxury.
You know what sucks? Working full time and not being able to afford groceries. I can't afford groceries. I can't even afford gas to get to work. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore.
We cannot keep doing this. My husband and I got a notice yesterday that our mortgage payment is going up almost $200 between taxes and insurance. On top of that, my car insurance has gone up. My health insurance has gone up with less coverage. My health insurance now barely covers anything, but the premiums are higher. And daycare costs, insane. Daycare cost, I know colleges that are cheaper than daycare. My college degree costs the same as what I would pay for my daughter to go to daycare for 1 year. And I don't send her to a fancy daycare. That's insane to me. And then on top of everything, I used to be able to go grocery shopping. I kid you not, $100 every other week. I would make it stretch and we would go grocery shopping and I would spend maybe $200, $300, $400 a month on groceries. I probably cannot get out of the store for less than $120 a week now. And that is with me being frugal. I do not know what to do anymore because it's getting to the point where if things keep going up, I genuinely am not going to have money to pay the bills that I have, let alone to pay for food, to pay for clothing, to pay for necessities to get by, like just toiletries. This is just for household bills. I'm almost at the point where I don't know how people make it on one income alone because my husband and I are both working and we are getting by. I don't know how people are doing it now.
I don't know about you, guys. Every time I hear somebody says, oh, the economy is bouncing back, I'm wondering because I have to stop myself from laughing because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry because I'm asking for who and where because the rent prices are climbing higher than these TikTok trends. The grocery bills, guys, it's just like a payment and the people are literally struggling right now just to keep their heads above water.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary? I just watched a TikTok of a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. And when she spends $2,000 on that 1-bedroom apartment, it doesn't even come with a washer and dryer. So she has to go pay an additional $2 every time she wants to use their washer and dryer. Okay, how does that leave her any extra money to spend? And then she said she had a $400 car payment, which some people were bashing her on that. But in today's economy with interest rates, that's really not that bad. And I'm sure she needs a dependable car. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment. You got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. I don't understand how people are affording life right now, and it really makes me sad for some people. You have people who are like her. She's single, she has her own salary, or families where it just works out best for them for the mother to stay home. And if the father is just making an average American salary, How are they affording life without going in a bunch of debt? This lady who's a teacher started crying because she said she realizes on her salary and where she lives, she will actually end up in more debt. Then, like, she will just continue to accrue more debt and more debt and more debt because her salary is not matching the cost of living. And what's sad is I've seen people be like, just spend less. Listen, guys, the cost of living is rising and our salaries are stagnant, okay? So there's not just spend less. That's not the problem here. The problem is the cost of living is outrageous, and minimum wage in some states is still $7.25. Teachers in some states are still paid a ridiculously low salary, even though their job is super important. I don't know what we can do about this, but I'm just going on a rant because it really, really pisses me off.
I just don't want to do this anymore. It's so cold in here, as you can see. I'm wrapped up in a duvet. My son's got like 3 different layers on, just to try and stay warm because it's so cold in here.
Watching that woman's video broke my heart this morning. She said she had to choose between gas and electric. And she ended up choosing electric because she needed to cook for her children to eat. And that the gas, she couldn't afford it. So she was literally freezing and shaking in that video, as you can see. And people are going through a lot in the UK right now. It's not even a joke. It is not a joke. Especially when you live in these old houses that were built ages ago. The insulation is bad. I remember when I moved to the UK, I lived in such a house. So renting a proper house was difficult. And Ariella was one, and my son, I was pregnant with my son then. I would hold Ariella shivering like this in front of the heater. The heater is on, but we are still shivering. It's not, the cold was too much. It's not like these houses where we live now. Like where I live now, these are one of the newer homes that have been built, well insulated. I use only electric in my house. And when I put on my electric heater, 1 hour, it can last me even the whole night. I don't sleep with heating. My kids sleep with heating. The other day, I loaded 100 pounds on my electric meter. And I had cooked that night. I did washing. And then I left my children's heater till morning. By morning, the money had dropped to 60 pounds. I was like, 40 pounds in a day. How are people managing? If you live in Africa, now is the time to help your family that is abroad. If you change 90,000 naira or whatever it is, cedis or rand, and you send them 100 pounds for them to use for their electric or gas bills, they will bless you and thank you. If you live in Africa, and you are used to your family members sending you money and they cannot send for you this period, have some compassion. Now is the wrongest time to ask anybody that lives abroad for money. If you do it, you're a murderer. People are going through hell.
Let's start with the rent, because this one definitely hits hard. The average rent prices for most places, it is so high, and the landlords are not playing any games with us. So for many of us, we're just barely making ends meet, let alone affording these ridiculous prices, not even talk about the increase and the sudden increase at that.
Please tell me why. I live in almost a 10-year-old apartment complex in Charleston. I'm like 10 minutes from downtown, so not even like in the city. 650 square foot studio. Just got my renewal offer. My rent is going up $230 a month. That means for 650 square feet in a 10-year-old complex with no updates, I'm about to pay over $2,000 a month. My raise at work isn't even that much. Like, what is going on? Nobody can afford this. I can't afford this. I can barely afford living here. I have to go into the office for work, so I have to be able to drive like a reasonable commute. And I'm literally like, what the fuck? Like, when I got that email yesterday, I was having heart palpitations. So, I will not be living here. I luckily have a plan, but still, I'm like $230 a month. For what? You haven't done anything. Like, this apartment complex last year, I had mold everywhere, was sick. Like, so. Yeah, there's my rant for the day. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad tomorrow's Friday.
Now, what I'm about to say may piss a lot of landlords off, but I don't really care at all. But I'm gonna read to y'all the qualifications that this person wants for this house. And it ain't an amazing ass house. We're not talking about anything super expensive. The rent, like I said, is $16.95, $40 application fee per adult. They want you to make 3.5 times the rent. Standard, for whatever reason, is 3 times the rent. When majority of Americans don't even make 3 times a $1,600 a month rent. I don't know where people just get up and be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make this a national standard that people have to make 3 times the rent amount. Majority of people can afford 2 times the rent on a specific basic home like this. But this person is going even further. They don't want you to have 3 times the rent. They want you to have 3.5 times the rent. They want the last 2 years of your W-2s, the last 3 months of your check stub, driver's license or ID, social security card. They want you to make 2 months worth of rent as your security deposit before you even move in, and you have to have a credit score of at least a 670. I'm trying to tell you off the bat, that disqualifies so many people from being able to be in a home that is decent. Let's add that up, why don't we? Off the rip, you have to pay first month's rent, $16.95. You have to pay $40 application fee per adult, and let's just say the standard adult is 2 adults, right? You have to pay, if you have a pet, which majority of people in Houston do have pets, dogs, it's a $250 non-refundable fee per pet. So let's just say you have a pet. We're gonna add that up, and then you have to make 2 months of the rent to equal the amount of the security deposit. So that's $16.95 times 2. All right, and on top of that, we're not even talking about your utilities and all the things that you have set up. They want you to have rental insurance before you move in. Standard rental insurance is probably about $25 a month. Let's just say that. Before you can even move into this house, sitting in a savings account somewhere or just idle money, you already got to come off of this amount of money. I don't know at what point we stop being human, though. Even as an investor and a landlord, at what point did we stop being human and we say money trumps everything, including people? I don't get it.
My name is Tyler, and after it being outpriced at the rental market, I have moved into my car, and I wanted to show you around. Starting with my bed, it is a 2-inch memory foam mattress topper with about 4 layers of blankets and carpeting underneath that as well. I have my pillows up there. Here is where I keep my food. It is in the cooler here. I have a dry storage in the front as well. I keep my water supply on the side of the cooler here. Moving over to the side of the car, this is where I keep most of my clothing, and my belongings are all organized underneath this blanket, and I use the top there as like a table when I'm inside the car. Moving to the front of the car, this is where I keep my dry storage in that cooler right there. I keep my books over here, my trash can, my wet wipes, and then I have this cup holder here for my Uber Eats orders when I have large Uber Eats orders, and I do Uber Eats full-time here on the road. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.
There's a constant narrative that the market is adjusting, but what exactly are we adjusting to? Just paying them to live in these tiny apartments. Walls are so thin that if a neighbor sneezes, you can hear them.
Besides the fact that I'm extremely struggling to pay my rent every month, you know how I realized that it's really, really bad out here? I live in the hood, okay? I live in the hood. The hood. Garbage everywhere. People's dogs not tied up. Pit bulls running around. Litter, dog poop. People riding bikes. Women of the night down the block. Like, I've been living here for a year and a half. And when I first moved in, it was 100% black, like 100% black people. And now, I was just walking my dog and this white guy was like, to me, dead ass. Now, all of a sudden, I've seen at least 4 of the apartments taken by white people. And this is like the cheapest spot in town. Also, some Hispanics have moved in as well. Like, when I first moved in here, there was a white girl that lived here, But I feel like when I realized everything changed, when I seen white men moving in here, I was like, oh, it's bad out there. It's bad. And I'm actually scared, guys, for my lease being up in January. I'm very scared. I'm very scared for what's gonna happen. That being said, please help me get to 10K. Oh my God, I gotta get out the hood. Please, please, please. I'm not gonna be able to afford the hood. They've already raised my rent. They tried to raise it $125. I talked them down to $75. They're probably definitely gonna raise it again at that. And this is for the hood. No supermarkets, no restaurants, nothing. Like, I don't know, we're just sitting on here on social media talking about it, but it's like, what do we actually do? What are we actually doing? The election is in November and they haven't even talked about the election. They're not even like trying to get people to, oh, come out and vote and be on our side, because I feel like they know what it is. They're gonna wait till the last minute to be like, all right, well, you have to pick somebody. You gotta vote for Biden, you know, since you don't want Trump. Like, no, we can't do that. We cannot do that. I know it's a little bit all over the place, this video, but it's bad out here, dude. Rent is really bad. And yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm very scared. I don't wanna live in my car.
This rental market kind of feels like the most discouraging thing I've ever experienced. Let me go back and paint a better picture for you. I'm pushing 30. I finally landed my dream 6-figure career. I've got a decent financial footing and I get a sick apartment. But then this happens. This here represents a near $1,000 increase in my rent over 2 years, with some brand new fees that they decided to slap right on top. So naturally, I have to look around and find a new apartment because I can no longer afford where I currently live. But I keep noticing these new luxury apartment buildings literally everywhere. But 1-bedroom apartments are starting at $2,500. And this is not a special case. Here's another example, and this one's not quite as new. This was built about 3 or 4 years ago, and 1-bedroom apartments start at $2,489. And that's just the minimum. So now I have no choice but to move 45 minutes further away from my job. And it's so similar to the housing market. I don't know how people my age are supposed to keep up with what's happening. And the same story holds. Wages are not able to keep up with this increasing cost of living. But as I've said before, I'm not going to let this current circumstance dictate the way I live. I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to make some more money because I deserve to live a certain way. Even if that means paying $2,500 for a 1-bedroom, I'm going to make it happen. Like, follow, and comment your thoughts.
Then, of course, the additional fees of the pet fee, the administrative fee, the maintenance fee. It makes me wonder, are we maintaining a 2-bedroom house or are we building a palace?
I'm a little concerned just on how my generation and the future generations are supposed to buy homes. So how are we supposed to buy a home when minimum homes are $300,000? 20% of $300,000 is $60,000. So for me to have to save up $20,000 just to put down, never mind closing costs and your realtor that you have to pay and all of the other fees that you have to pay, which could be a minimum of like $8,000 to $15,000 for closing costs. I've heard people pay way more. And then what if you want to have a family? What if your girlfriend or your wife gets pregnant and you're like, hey, we should raise this baby. How are you going to afford it? Who's going to watch your baby? So I just want to think about that for people who are rushing into relationships and rushing to grow up. It is very difficult, not only because you can't afford anything unless you make above $100,000, especially in the New England, you just can't afford to live. You can't even afford to save money. You can't afford to go on vacation. Most of these people are living paycheck to paycheck, so don't rush to move out.
The millennials and Gen Zers who are complaining that they can't buy a house are not working for minimum wage. These are people making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year who can no longer afford a house. But minimum wage workers are also complaining because they can't afford rent. If you look back to 1980, the rent was $243. Minimum wage was $3.10, meaning your monthly gross was $496. So to rent this apartment, it would be 48.9% of your gross income back in 1980. But let's fast forward to 2024. The average rent is $17.47. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, giving you $11.60. You can't even get an apartment with the federal minimum wage, but let's be generous and double the federal minimum wage because people at Walmart and fast food joints are making $14.50 to $15. So $14.50 would bring you to $23.20. So technically you're making more, but this is your gross, and it'd be 75% of your gross income, making double the federal minimum wage in 2024. But let's take it even a step further. ZipRecruiter said that the starting pay for college graduates is $24 an hour. So that would be $38.40 a month. So someone with a bachelor's degree could afford this one-bedroom apartment, but it would be 45.4% of their gross income. A college graduate is spending the same amount of their income on rent as the minimum wage worker in 1980 did. Roughly the same. And the minimum wage worker in 1980 put on a hat, learned skills for 2 weeks, and started their job. A bachelor's degree spent 4, 5, 6 years of their life in school and $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and now have to spend the same amount of money on rent as a minimum wage worker did in 1980.
A woman says she's exhausted by the fact that she can't afford rent even though she's cut back on eating.
There's a woman on TikTok who is going viral right now because her rent went from $1,300 to $1,800 a month with no warning. That is a significant amount of money for your rent to increase to the point where that would make or break somebody's ability to pay rent. Landlords and corporations are continuing to price gouge and not care about the well-being of their tenants or their customers or anybody, because it's all about money, 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 money at this point. I would recommend that this girl see if she can find a cheaper place, but with the increase of rent, is that possible? I have no idea. It is going to take a lot of work to get out of that situation. She's either going to have to get a second job if she doesn't already have one, or scrape up some funds to figure out if she can move to a cheaper place, get a bunch of roommates. I mean, none of it is ideal. $500 could prevent you from saving money monthly too, which is something that I come on here and preach about. Taking your savings, putting it into a high yield savings or a compound interest account, watching your money grow. How are we supposed to do that when it's $500 increasing in rent? Like, that's insane. I would love for people to just stop being selfish and let people live their lives.
There's the food. Oh, food. This is the most basic human need. Why does it feel like every trip to the grocery stores requires a line of credit? I really genuinely used to enjoy grocery shopping. It's like one of my therapy, and it was really one of those things that was just so simple and productive. But now it is like you're facing a financial battlefield. I walk into the supermarket and I just pick up my necessary things, and I'm going to pop up a video here showing you my last grocery haul that I did upload on my TikTok. That bill came to $650 and I'm going to show you what I got in my cart. You can go ahead and check it out if you want a more detailed list. So even for regular topping up during the month, your regular staples like your egg, bread, milk, and when you see the bill, you have to walk out wondering if you accidentally bought a car. What's even worse is the shrinkflation. Yes, I'm going to give it a word, shrinkflation, and I'm not sure if you notice it. Realize that the package stays the same, but the amount of food inside of it actually gets smaller. So I bought a bag of chips and I'm just there shaking the chips because I'm wondering if there's a secret compartment or something. When I opened the chip, it was practically empty, almost like you're paying premium prices just for air.
I just want to say that it's wild that as a 2-income household, my husband and I have come to the realization we can't afford groceries right now. Just straight up can't afford groceries, because if we buy groceries, then we either won't be able to pay our rent or our electric bill, because both of those come out of this pay cycle and they will take the entire pay cycle. That's bonkers. That's so wild. We have 2 incomes and we cannot afford to eat, and we don't even have kids. It's literally just the 2 of us, and we can't afford to eat with 2 incomes. That is just, but I mean, I guess, that means we won't have to wash dishes because our dishwasher is still broken, as it has been for 2 months at the place that we pay so much in rent. Wild.
Want to know how I knew the economy was in pure shambles? This is the exact instance. It wasn't when everybody was saying, inflation is going up, when gas was so high. Nope. My friend and me were sitting down having a gentle conversation. I had $20 in my pocket. I said, hey, you want to go to Dollar Tree? He said, yeah. We go to Dollar Tree. I grabbed 20 items. Well, I grabbed 10. He grabs 10. So, naturally, I'm thinking we're going to walk out with 20 items. They ring me up for $27. I'm confused. I say, what happened? Only got 20 items. She says, at the cash register, she says, oh, everything's $1.25. At that exact moment, I knew that the economy was in shatters. Dollar Tree has been a staple for so long that everything costs $1. I didn't care about $5 footlong. I didn't care about a $1 drink from McDonald's. I didn't care about a $1 McChicken. I didn't care about none of that. I didn't care about a lick of that. I didn't care if the dollar menu from Taco Bell sucks now. That was unimportant. But when Dollar Tree The place that's known for everything costing $1 increased its price by 25 cents. That is a drastic increase on every item in that store. You're probably thinking to yourself, it's not that serious. It is that serious. If any other store increased the price of something by 25%, I would be flabbergasted. I'd be like, oh man, what is going on? That's a large jump. And sure, it happened with other stores. It happened with McDonald's. Sure, it was slow creep with McDonald's. The Big Mac started costing more money. Cheeseburgers start costing more. But that was gradual. That was okay. I didn't care about that. The Dollar Tree fiasco, because I shopped at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is where I got my dish soap. It's where I got my brooms. It's where I got my lint rollers. It's where I got my toothpaste, toothbrushes. That 25% increase, that turns $5 from 4 items. Well, $5 from 5 items into 4 items. $10 into 8 items. $15 into 12 items. Yeah, 12 items. Yeah, I'm doing the math right. It's insane. They just keep increasing the price. I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm so baffled. And we walked out with only like 13 items because we only had $20 bills. It's a big jump to lose that many items. We lost so much. The economy is in tatters right now. I am so upset how everything's costing more. We're getting paid less just for existing. It's getting weird, man. It's getting really weird.
Okay, so I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and for those of you who don't know, Canada has like a serious step inflation problem right now. I just got back from doing groceries, and I have $70 worth of groceries on my table right now, and I genuinely don't even know what I purchased that made it to $70. I had a fucking mini breakdown to my parents the other week, and I started like crying, like tears. They came in because I was doing a budget, and they were like, how is it? And I was like, tears. I'm working like 3 jobs right now. Like I got out of university like last year in December, and I have been grinding it out ever since, just because the cost of living, and I'm not even really saving that. I'm not saving anything really, but the cost of living is outrageous in Canada. And it's just so, I was telling my parents, like, it's just so frustrating that like you do all the right things, you go to university, and then you come out, you get a job, whatever, and you can barely afford rent. I talk about it with my friends all the time, but we're just fucking sticking together right now because it's brutal out there.
Even the staples like rice, flour, sugar, these prices are just creeping up as well. These are the things that we usually rely on, to stretch your meals. Oh, it feels like you're being squeezed from every angle. And if you want to live healthy, at this point, you can just forget it. Because the fresh produce is so expensive that I've even started to treat like eating just a simple banana as just luxury. Right now, eating some grapes is like a special treat.
I'm in a laundromat in Jamaica, and absolutely nobody prepared me for how absurd the prices are here. How are the locals affording this? I'm from New York, and I've used wash and dry, do your own laundromats in Manhattan before. Like if you're from New York, not every apartment has a washing machine. And the most I've ever paid is about $12. So like $6 for a wash, $6 for a dry. Tell me why here in Jamaica, in Kingston, to use a laundromat, it's $25 US. And it's charged per minute too. Like, I just think that's insane. So I use the washing machine over here. To use one of these, it's $1,800, and the soap is $250 extra. I think that's just a few bucks. And if you want to save some money, you can use one of these little ones. But the thing is, you have to use your own water. So the whole time it's washing, you need to have a bucket and then dump the water in like this. I've never seen that before. Or you can use one of these for about $12. And then these are the dryers, and it is 700 Jamaican per 10 minutes to use the dryer. So it's like $5 every 10 minutes. I've never seen a laundromat like this. I've traveled all over the world. Please tell me, is this normal? Like, I feel like this is so unsustainable. I've also noticed that the grocery prices are quite high. Like a bag of grapes is also $25. I just don't know how anyone affords to live here.
I have to be out of my home in 2 weeks, which means I have 2 weeks to find a house, or else I'm going to be homeless. And I am here to tell you that there is no affordable housing. Affordable housing is a myth. You cannot support a family on one full-time income. Let me say it again. There is nothing affordable out there. Trailers cost as much as houses right now. Trailers cost more than I have ever paid in rent for any place that I have ever lived at. Ever.
I want to know how the hell people in Canada are even living. I generally consider myself a positive person. I'm like resourceful, but some stuff happened around the property, and like, while I know I'll never truly be homeless, like I have family to live with, and you know, like I have options. Like I'm luckier than a lot of other people, but how the hell is anyone existing in Canada? Like I feel trapped. And like I just got a good job. I started in September, but even with that job, it pays less than 40 grand a year. And it's a job that requires like education, and even on that job, like I still can't do shit. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days. Like I'm just feeling so much despair. And I know I'm normally like really, really positive, but I'm just like, how is everyone else, and are you okay? Because the answer is probably no. And I know I'm lucky. I don't have kids. I have like good family that will support me, but I feel like I can't stay here, but I can't move anywhere else, because anywhere else I move to, I'm gonna be charging, like, the landlords are just gonna charge me like $2,500 a month in rent. Like, unless I move into the middle of literally nowhere where there are 0 jobs, and I'm just feeling really overwhelmed. And like, I don't know. There's a part of me that just wants to say F it and just get a whole bunch of credit cards and just travel and just like get out of Canada, because like I know it's bad everywhere. I really do. But I don't know. At 33 years old, like I was really hoping that I could at the very least afford, you know, a small house. I don't want 3,100 square feet bullshit. I just want something small, 500 square feet, even less. And yet it's so expensive. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do.
The bigger question is, why is this happening? Well, let's break it down. So you realize that rent prices are soaring in part because of a housing shortage and speculative investments. So more people are now renting, and fewer homes are being built with demand. When the houses are being built, especially for here in Jamaica, you cannot afford it. For you to afford an average 2-bedroom house right now, which is about $30 million, you have to get 2 parties to join together in order to get that mortgage approved. Editing Jody here. So I decided to come and give you guys a little bit more context as to what I just said in the last clip. So here in Jamaica, we have a government body that is called the National Housing Trust. So this is a body where we pay a contribution, or a percentage of our salary goes to this body that helps us to get a mortgage. Now, it is for shortening, it is called the NHT. So the NHT gives a single applicant, one single person, $7.5 million. That is equivalent to 48,000 US dollars, right? But remember, I told you that the average cost for a home in Jamaica is about $30 million. So you realize that can't do anything. No, the NHT gives you the opportunity to partner with 2 or 3 persons, but let us just work with the 2 persons for now. So if 2 parties come together and join, then that $7.5 million turns into 15 million Jamaican dollars, or in US $96,000. Remember, I told you that in average the cost for a home is about $30 million. In Jamaica is approximately 194,000 US dollars. And remember, if 2 people comes together, you're only getting $96,000. So because the amount that the NHT lends you is capped, then you'll have to get the excess from a local bank. So therefore, you'd end up having 2 mortgages. On the food side, you know, inflation is hitting us really hard. You have supply chain disruptions, higher transportation costs, and extreme weather. You know, these events definitely drives up the cost of goods. So, you know what hasn't gone up? our wages. And that's the problem. Everything else is getting so much more expensive. But for most of us, we are stuck with the same paycheck that we were making years ago.
I've been waiting for a comment like this. I knew as soon as I said I was on vacation that somebody was going to comment something about you can afford vacation but not an apartment. First of all, I can afford to go on vacation because I live in affordable housing. Because affordable housing doesn't mean zero cost rent. Affordable housing means you're paying a rent that's proportionate to your income, that the government has standardized across all these apartments and has said, this is the rent that this person can pay so that they can actually live and afford utilities and afford food and afford to save for vacation. Affordable housing really shouldn't be called affordable. It should just be called the price you should be paying for your rent. While regular rent should really be called the price that people are forced to pay because landlords and developers are greedy and our government does nothing to legislate protections for people to have access to a basic human right. Secondly though, stop the narrative that only rich people can have nice things. If anybody deserves nice things, it's working class and middle income people. So get the nice thing, go on the vacation, do it for yourself, you deserve it.
So you want to know how much rent you can afford at $22 an hour? Okay, let's do the math. So first you're going to multiply that $22 an hour by a full-time 40 hours a week. That's going to give you $880. Then you need to multiply that by the 52 weeks in a year. That'll get you to $45,760. Then you need to multiply that by 12 to get your gross monthly income. That leaves you with $3,813 gross monthly income. Now, most apartment complexes require your gross monthly income to be at least 2 times the rent or 2.5 times the rent or 3 times the rent. So if they require 2 times the rent, then you can't pay more than $1,906. If they require 2.5 times the rent, then you can't pay more than $1,525 in rent. And if they require 3 times the rent, then you cannot pay more than $1,271 a month. So I recommend never paying more than 30% of your monthly net income on rent. First, we're going to take out about 22% in taxes. That's about $839. That leaves us with $2,974 of monthly net income. 30% of that is $892. So you can either live alone and find a 1-bedroom apartment that's $892, or a studio or a room in someone else's house, or you can go in with a roommate and double that up. With a roommate, you guys can afford an apartment that's $1,784. I hope that helps, and make sure you guys hop in the comments and let me know what salary you want me to calculate next. Make sure to also save this so when it's time for you to do your calculations, you know what to do. And make sure to follow me for more.
People are now required to work longer hours. People are now taking on side hustles and they're cutting back wherever they can. Yet still, it feels like they're treading water, and barely at that. This isn't just about individual struggles, families are feeling the pinch too. Parents are now having to choose between maybe paying the rent or the mortgage, or even buying enough food to feed their kids. And then in addition to this, I find that more young people now are putting off moving out or even starting families because they really can't afford to. Seniors are even now dipping into their retirement savings, which is just not right, just to make it through another month. I know that we're all trying to stay positive. It's a fact that we just cannot sugarcoat it. The situation is exhausting. It's a constant stress of trying to figure out how to make it work without it taking a toll on your mental health. Let's face it, there's just only so much of cutting back that you can do.
These are the 3 things I've given up as the cost of living continues to increase. The first thing I've unfortunately had to give up was getting my nails done. Now, I know my nails are done currently, so don't call me out, but I did just go on vacation, and that's the only exception in time that I will get my nails done. Other than that, I will only be using press-on nails. And press-on nails are like $9, $10 at the convenience store, and I'll reuse the press-ons. They give you multiple, in a press-on set. So I'll get one and I can do 2 sets of nails with that. And if I only buy 2 packs, I'll get my nails done for a month. I was the girl that would get her nails done every 2 weeks on the dot. That adds up so much. I added it in my calculator because I was trying to budget. If I was getting dip nail powders and I was paying $70 for a full set. When did nails get to be $70 for a full set? The second thing that I've actually had to give up is getting my eyebrows done. Now, I have naturally thick eyebrows, and I would get my eyebrows waxed. I used to hate my eyebrows, but now I've kind of embraced it. I bought a brow gel, and in replacement of doing that, I'll just use my brow gel and use a brow pencil or something if I want to make them look correct. That money can be used elsewhere, The last thing that I've given up as the cost of living increases is eating out.
I haven't completely gotten rid of eating out. But for me, I live in a city, so it's so easy to just go down the street and like go out for food, drinks. But I've been trying to limit myself to only the weekends of eating out, because like eating out during the week is just unnecessary. And you can go to the grocery store and buy groceries and so many different meals from those groceries. Whereas when you're eating out, you're only buying one specific meal for that moment in time. You know what I mean? Even drinking, I don't even like to buy drinks when I go out, and I refuse to do it. And that's something that I've also saved money on. I am going to pregame and drink at home before I go out. And if that's not even that often, you know, because it's just so expensive. Like, why are we charging $17 for one cocktail? It's insanity. And I just refuse to participate. Let me know if you want a part 2. This is part 2 of things that I've given up as the cost of living continues to increase. If you haven't seen part 1, go back on my page and watch that video. First things first is cable. I don't understand how cable bills got up to like $200, but that's insanity. Pick 1 or 2 streaming services that you like, whether it be Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, whichever, and your bill's gonna be less than $50. I literally don't use cable. A lot of cable services are now partnered with streaming services. Like Hulu has like Hulu Plus, where you can watch like a live TV and stuff. Get you one of those and you're set. The second thing that I've actually given up is pedicures. And I know people in my comments from my last video were like, oh my God, I could never give up pedicures. I could never give up this. And the thing is like, you can do it at home. Like, I will give myself my own pedicure and give myself a foot mask or whatever. The smart thing that you can also do, you can go to a nail salon and you can just ask to get your toes painted. It's like so cheap. It's like $20 or something, maybe even less, depending on where you live. Last thing that I've actually had to give up was going out for drinks. I mentioned this in my last video, and I was talking about how like cocktails are like $17 now. Like, what is up with these prices? Going out for drinks is just not worth it. You're spending $17 to not even feel a buzz. If I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna drink. It's just not worth it. Let me know what you've given up in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts.
Where do we go from here? Some say the solution is to grow your own food. And here in Jamaica, at one point, a government says, you know, eat what you grow and grow what you eat. They were actually welcoming this idea. And at this rate, even though I don't have enough space to grow food like that, it doesn't sound far-fetched right now. But seriously though, Islanders, I think that this is something that is bigger than us, because this is something that you cannot just fix with budgeting tips or maybe just clever life hacks. This is a systematic issue, and I believe it is going to take like a collective action to address it. Where you come in, guys, I want to know, how are you coping with these rising costs? Are you cutting back? Are you picking up extra work? Or are you just finding creative ways to make ends meet? So let us share our ideas and vent to each other, of course, below down in the comment section. You know, maybe someone has a hack or a solution that we haven't heard of yet. So this is a space where you are welcome to just come and let it out, because we are all here for it. And as we wrap up this video, guys, I just want to say thank you for listening. I know these aren't easy conversations to have, but they're actually necessary, and we can't fix what we don't talk about. So guys, you know, USA, take a breather and let's just try it. So, you know, mellow this out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for sticking around until the end of another video. If you want to continue to watch more relatable discussions like these, you can go ahead and click that up next video with the right saw on your screen and enjoy the day away. As per usual, guys, thank you so much for sticking around until the end of another video. I said that before, yeah. My name is Jody, and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys, walk good.